Hello to viewers around the world, and welcome to the Juneteenth Tulsa Block Party.
I hope you are excited to be tuning in with us. I know that we are both very excited to be here in Tulsa's historical Greenwood District. I'm Ariel Davis.
And I'm Damian Shade, and we're your co-host for the Tulsa Juneteenth Block Party. For those who don't know it, Juneteenth is also known as Emancipation Day or Black Independence Day.
155 years ago today, Union armies landed on the shores of Galveston, Texas, to let Confederate sympathizers know that the Civil War had ended and all slaves must be free.
President Lincoln ended most slavery in the United States with the Emancipation Proclamation, but it took more than 2 years for the proclamation to get full effect across the United States.
In the 1860s and 1870s, Black Americans found various ways to celebrate Juneteenth, everything from parades, cookouts, cultural and historical gatherings, and musical performances. Elders would gather their families together to sing songs and tell stories, and we are so excited to be here in Tulsa with our own tradition.
Ariel, when you were a kid, how did your family celebrate Juneteenth?
It's actually really interesting. I think my family treated it much like formal education does, like just sort of a blip in the year. It wasn't until we started sort of waking up to our own Black history, Black power, and Black excellence that it really became a cornerstone holiday. So I am super excited to be here with all of these people and celebrating with them. What about you?
When I was a kid, honestly, it was mostly about the food. I came out for the fried chicken, I came out for the okra, I came out for the cheese grits. And so much of what makes me excited about this holiday is the experiences I had with my community as a kid and finding ways for everyone to come together and feel happy. That's why we are here today. We have an incredible lineup of amazing people for you, from music stars, the Sons of Serendip, to actress Alfre Woodard, to NBA star Russell Westbrook, to the HBO Watchmen executive producer Damon Lindelof. We have many, many amazing people.
And we are going to kick everything off with national treasure, California Senator Kamala Harris, who is going to open up with a message of legacy and hope.
Greetings, Tulsa. Well, it's Juneteenth again, but this one, well, it feels a little different. It will always be a day to remember the millions who died from enslavement in America, to remember the strength and the perseverance of those who survived and fought to achieve an end to slavery. And as we enter a new era of transformation, we honor their sacrifice while also looking to the future. A future that must finally include a deep reckoning with our country's history of racism, where we all acknowledge that it was racism and hate against Black people that led to the tragic and horrific Tulsa race massacre those 99 years ago, and that Black people are still dying at the hands of racism today. So as our nation is set to move forward again, I pray our ancestors can hear us chanting the truth that they were denied, that Black lives matter, that their lives mattered. So happy Juneteenth, everyone. Let us celebrate, let us remember, and let's get to work. See you later.
My name is Dr. Tiffany Crutcher, and I'm honored to organize one of the largest Juneteenth celebrations that Tulsa, Oklahoma has seen in recent years. Thousands upon thousands of people will touch down on historic Greenwood and come together in unity to cry out for justice, to cry out for liberation, to cry out for freedom. So I'm challenging each and every one of you to simply get mad. M-A-D, make a decision to never give up, never give in, and continue to beat the drum for justice until Black lives truly matter.
Hello, Black people. Happy Juneteenth. My message to you, to us on this day, we're dope. We're the dopest people ever. And I need us to remember that because it can be so easy. Oh, you know what? I didn't even tell you my name. What's up? I'm Baratunde Thurston. I wrote a book called How to Be Black. I'm super black, 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 black. Okay. So being Black is often considered this burden, this vulnerability, this thing where we struggle and we suffer and we are put upon. And that's true. That's true. They've been coming for us for a long time. but we're still here. And that being here is part of the dopeness. We are creative. We are mathematical. We are delicious making people. Have you tasted our food? It's the best food. The music's the best music. The math is the best math. Seriously, let us remember to enjoy ourselves and bring joy to ourselves as we balance out this image of who we are. We celebrate freedom today. We celebrate liberation, not just from literal bondage, but from the narrative that has kept us bonded to a limited idea of who we are and what we can be. Happy Freedom Day. Happy Liberation. Happy Independence Day, Black people. We dope.
Happy Juneteenth, everyone in Tulsa and across the nation. I'm reflecting today on this incredible moment, this long overdue awakening that seems to be happening around America, this ripping back of the veil, the way we're all seeing each other, standing up for each other, showing up for each other. And my hope as we move forward is that we keep the momentum going. My hope as we move forward is we root movements in love. My hope as we move forward is that we start recognizing Juneteenth as the actual American Independence Day, because unless we're all free, none of us is free. And to me, this is one of the best days in history. Happy Juneteenth, everybody.
Hello, I'm Eric Holder, the 82nd Attorney General of the United States. I'm honored to be a part of Tulsa's Juneteenth virtual block party. Tulsa is home to a proud heritage of Black history and also to some of the most painful moments in our history. This event is about remembering the complexity of our history, the tremendous pride, and the heartbreaking pain. And it's about carrying that history into the struggle for civil rights that we face today. Juneteenth is about history, but it's also about the tireless pursuit of freedom and equality and the celebration of our progress. The Black history of Tulsa, the American history of Tulsa, must never be ignored and will never be forgotten. It is our story that you are gathering to honor and to protect. I'm proud of all of you, not just because of the good work that you're doing right now, but because of how your work is honoring the legacy of those who came before us. We can never forget their sacrifices and must commit ourselves to ensuring a better future for those still to come. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Damian Shade.
And I'm Ariel Davis. We're here at Tulsa's Juneteenth block party. Coming up, we have music from four brothers out of Boston who are changing the idea of classical music, Sons of Serendip.
Heard there was a secret chord David played and it pleased the Lord, but you don't really care for music, do you? It goes like this: the fourth, the fifth, the minor fall and the major lift. The baffled king composing hallelujah, 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 hallelujah. Baby, I've been here before. I know this room, I've walked this floor. I used to live alone before I knew ya. I've seen your flag on the marble arch. Love is not a victory march. It's a cold, it's a broken hallelujah, 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 hallelujah. was how to shoot at someone who outdrew you. It's not a cry you can hear at night. It's not somebody who's seen the light. It's a cold and it's a broken hallelujah. 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 Did my best, it wasn't much. I couldn't feel, so I tried to touch. I've told the truth, I didn't come to fool ya. And even though it all went wrong, I stand before the Lord of song, but nothing on my lips but hallelujah. Hallelujah. Hallelujah.
Hi, my name is Damian Shade.
And I'm Ariel Davis. We're here at Tulsa's Juneteenth Block Party. Coming up, we have a message from our hometown hero, a leading lady and Tulsa actress who has gone on to win National Emmy Awards, Alfre Woodard.
Hey everybody, it's Alfre. Happy Juneteenth. Happy Juneteenth, everybody all around the country, around the world. I know y'all are listening in, but especially happy nappy Juneteenth to my brothers and sisters who I grew up with on the north side of Tulsa. I was at Yorktown Place in Apache. Y'all remember? We went to, first we went to Ralph J. Bunch Elementary School, and then we went to Marian Anderson Junior High School. We are the manifestation of Black excellence. Yes, that's who we are. We yield from people that first of all got the news of emancipation 2.5 months late because they needed to keep us in servitude. And once we heard that, we walked out of enslavement with nothing but the rags on our backs. And within months, there were colleges, Black colleges springing up around the country. There were businesses flourishing. There was Reconstruction, and that was a period when there were more senators and congresspeople than ever before, Black people in the national legislature, because we were the dominant population in the South. There was a time of explosive energy and striving and productivity. And in response to that, that's when Jim Crow reared his ugly head. That was a way to curtail, to stamp, to obliterate Black progress. But you see, it didn't work. We are the original education people, strivers people. This nation continues to be hoisted upon the backs of not only Black people, but all people of color and immigrants. That's who we are, and that's what we need to celebrate. We were celebrating long before they came to tell us that we could actually go walk down the road and have our own names and name our children and keep our children and everything that freedom brought. But we are celebrating every day in new ways. Right now, our hearts are sore because one of the things that we realize, and we get reminded of it ever so often, is the fact that the knees on our necks and the guns in our back are familiar. They are the thing that has not changed since the Africans set foot on the stolen land, the land stolen from the first Americans. We do celebrate all the gains because we are from people that make a way out of no way, whether it is in business. When the Harlem Renaissance was popping off artistically up at the top of New York, same time, a financial renaissance was happening right down there on Black Wall Street in Greenwood. It was a time of Black excellence unbound. That's when, every time there's progress, that's when you have to really protect the progress. Old people say freedom ain't free. You got to fight for it, and you got to protect it every day, because the forces that were arrayed against your freedom and against recognizing you as human beings are up 24/7 trying to take it away. So it was this amazing time. We know the story of Greenwood. We're going to talk about it even more as the 100th anniversary of that massacre comes around in 2021. But today, right now, I just want to talk about Juneteenth, because that's one thing that we can do. Black folks know how to laugh and cry at the same time, how to weep and how to jump for joy, how to holy dance and how to shake dance all at the same time. That's how complicated, how complex we are. That's how we've survived. When I was little, we used to get those sort of sunsuits. They tie up here, right here, and they're kind of bubble like that. And we go over to Lakeview Park. I just thought it was heaven. I had no idea that was the only place we could go back then. Go to Lakeview Amusement Park, and it was out in this big park called Mohawk Park. Yeah, they named everything after the nations that they obliterated when they came here. It happens that way, don't it? But we'd go out there, and somebody asked me about a cookout. Who I'd have at a cookout? Anybody worth their Southwestern cred. No, you don't have a cookout unless you're a Girl Scout. We go to barbecues, not barbecues, but barbecues. That's what we have. If you're going to put something on a grill, first of all, it's got to be deep. It's got to be an oil barrel, or at least get yourself a Weber, and it's got to stay on there. If you don't have 12 to 24 hours, if you got a job and can't stay at the pit that long, then just marinate that stuff for at least 6 hours and then keep it on there slow for about 5 or 6 hours. But we have barbecues. So who would I want in my barbecue? Let me see. I have to have my sister Loretta Devine up out of Houston in my barbecue. I want Loretta Devine in my barbecue. Kevin Hart. You come into my barbecue, and Lil Rel, I immediately think of Lil Rel. You know why? These are my colleagues that are real. And they are incorrect, because you got to be incorrect if you're going to be a real person from Oklahoma or Texas or Louisiana, all the places that found out late. And we have, what? I don't eat potato salad outside of somebody's house. But I tell you what, I make mine kind of Cali now, put capers and all kind of roasted potatoes and stuff. Okay, my phone rang. I can't believe it. But I was talking about how I make my potato salad kind of Cali now with the capers and the roasted potatoes. I use homemade mayonnaise that I make myself and maybe a little bit of Dijon. But if you're going to do like Black Mama potato salad, real Black Mama potato salad out of Texas or Oklahoma, you get your potatoes. Okay, let them cool, because nobody wants potato salad that's like mashed potatoes with a bunch of ingredients in it. All right, so you're going to have some sweet onion, dice it up small so people won't feel like, I'm tasting onion, but you got to have in there or you won't have any flavor. You dice up a little bit of red pepper, a little bit of green bell pepper. Let's see, what else goes there? Oh, egg, boiled egg. And then when you finish, you're going to sprinkle a little paprika on top just for the color to make it good. Make sure you put a little bit of sweet pickle relish in there, a little bit of dill pickle relish. So you have all of that sweet, sour, kind of savory popping, the different textures, and then make your potatoes kind of al dente. Nobody won't like to have to gum some potatoes while you're eating potato salad. And that's what you're going to serve. Like I said, I only eat it if it was made in the house while I'm standing there. You know what? Right now, I want to talk about where we're going. We all have been jostled awake. You know, with COVID, we fell into a limbo and we actually looked at ourselves. We faced loss, mortality, ours and other people's. We were reminded that we all are on this earth. So whatever you do on this earth affects everybody around the earth. So think about that when you're using single-use plastic and other things. Yes, we are near the worst environmental spots, Black people and people of color and low-income people. So we got all of that to talk about. What are we going to do about it? We're not only going to be the change, we're going to come together. We're going to form coalitions. We're going to unite. We need allies. You can't just be mad, happy, or feel guilty, or feel sorry, or whatever you want to do. Complacency is not an option now. No one surrenders. We have a chance to move forward. It has been blown open by these circumstances. Nobody can deny the experience that our brothers and sisters have had at the hands of state-sponsored authorities throughout the entire time since the Africans set foot on this continent. But thank God for cell phone coverage, or we would never know that, or the videos. So now you know. Now you know what you're going to do about it. You're going to stand with people who are driving that change. We're going to use strategies. We're not just going to be emotional. We're going to move forward, taking the reins. Stand with people. We can do this. We have to do it. You know, as my mentor and dear friend, Sister Maya Angelou would say, we can never be well if we don't heal what is the problem. I'm quoting her wrong now. But we've had Band-Aids across a vicious wound because we didn't want to face it. Everybody says, oh, it bums me out, or I wasn't here, all of that. That's beside the point. Now is the time that we make a move to finally be whole, to finally be free. Because if anybody's liberties are curtailed, if anybody is in danger, then we all are. So let's make a jump, a leap towards, striving towards that more perfect union. You know, we're not going to get there, but at least we got to try to be what we say we're going to be. And right now, I can't think of a better time. There's a gap. Let's run through it. If we lock arms, we can all fit through it together, and it cannot close on us. So, all of that to say, when you are with people, you don't have to go marching around. You know, some people are just not like that. But when you're with your friends, with your family, in a car, in a carpool, at work, you know what people say. Correct people. Give people information. Don't let people get away with that, with the kind of toxicity they put into the air. And I just want to say, let's move forward with joy. My people have always waged the struggle with joy. It fills you up. It gives you determination. It binds you together. Black people weren't singing during this, in the fields and during the civil rights movement and every other movement that has come along. They weren't just doing that because they were just happy-go-lucky like Hollywood would tell you they were from the way films have been made. It was energy. It was galvanizing. It was saying, I got you. I got your back. You keep mine. Let's do that, Americans. Come on. Black American history is American history, just as brown, red, yellow, immigrant history It is American history. So claim it. Don't think you can ever sit it out, because sitting out is taking a side. You want to be on the right side of history. Otherwise, why are you living? Let's take a stand together. But right now, Juneteenth, let this inspire your children. Let my people's walk prove to your little ones all the way up what is possible. What is possible? What a great gift my forebears have given us all. Juneteenth, let's go for it. Now, you can party. Go party. Go party.
I want to wish the nation a happy Juneteenth. This feels like the flyest, livest Juneteenth ever, for real. Like, this Juneteenth is ours. This is the Juneteenth that the nation gonna recognize. And I feel like Juneteenth gonna be on the level, if not more, than July 4th. Low key. Low key. All right, bless y'all.
Hi, I'm Amber Valletta, and I'm from Tulsa. I love my hometown. And I'm so sorry that I can't be there with you this weekend to celebrate Juneteenth. I just wanted to send a message of hope and tell you how inspired I am by all of the action being taken across this country by people who believe in justice and fairness and equality to right the wrongs of our past and to make sure that future generations are safe, honored, treasured, equal, loved, and above all, free.
Happy Juneteenth, Tulsa. I am Jessica Lobetz, a Tulsa resident and the subcommittee chair for marketing for the Tulsa Race Massacre Centennial Commission. And I am so excited to celebrate Juneteenth with you today. In the words of the late, great Maya Angelou, continue to be who you are and how you are, and astonish the world with your acts of kindness. That's what it's all about. We are coming together this weekend to celebrate and to encourage each other to keep pushing. We are stronger together. We are more powerful together. We are resilient. Happy Juneteenth. Let's celebrate freedom.
Hi, I'm Ariel Davis. We are here at Tulsa's Juneteenth block party out here like turn it down for what? What do we have coming up next, Damien?
Coming up, we sit down with executive producer Russell Westbrook and filmmaker and Emmy Award winner Stanley Nelson to talk about the motivations behind their new docuseries celebrating the legacy of Black Wall Street.
All right, here we are. So first of all, gentlemen, thanks for taking the time here. We really appreciate you guys really amplifying what you're doing and really telling the story for our culture. So we'll start off just a little bit about really hearing from your point of view. When did you first learn about Juneteenth and what did that mean to you growing up?
I can start. Actually, I learned about Juneteenth pretty late. I was born and raised in New York City. And it wasn't something that we celebrated as a family. So I kind of came to it a little bit late, but late for me is probably 50 years ago. So I mean, I've known about it for a while.
Yeah, for me, I would say kind of more sooner than later. Being kind of in this position, having this platform, and to be able to understand a lot about the African-American community, about the history is something that I always kind of was intrigued about. And learning about Juneteenth, it was, for me, it was something I didn't know, and I felt bad that I didn't know about it earlier, So now that I am made aware of it, just trying to find ways to make sure that our younger generation and generations to come, know more about it as well.
That's such a good point. I'm born and raised here in Tulsa, Oklahoma, and I can honestly say I didn't learn about the race massacre history until I was in high school. And the way that I actually learned about it was going to Juneteenth celebrations. And I was like, oh, I thought we just get together, we hang out. And so it was at that point that I started to learn even about Juneteenth, but also our own history here in Tulsa. And I wanted to give you guys space as well to talk about that. When did you guys start to learn about Greenwood, and what prompted you guys to start to work on the project together?
Go ahead, Stanley.
Okay, so I made a film that premiered about a year and a half ago called Boss, and it was a history of Black entrepreneurs. And we told the Greenwood story in like 10 minutes, and we were all crying that we weren't able to give it its full due. But there were a lot of stories that we had to cover in this film. So since then, I've been dying to do something, more substantial on Greenwood. And so really, this is the chance to do it. So I'm just like so happy that we're going to be able to do this.
Yeah, man. For me, I was in Oklahoma for I was there for about 12 years. And every year I had basketball camps that I would do in Oklahoma City, and I do them in Tulsa as well, because I want to get the whole Oklahoma, bring all the kids together. And then when I first went down to Tulsa, people were mentioning Black Wall Street, Greenwood. I didn't really understand exactly what that meant or how substantial it was to the city of Tulsa. And then as I got older, I understand a little bit more about the effect that it had on the city, on African Americans, on businesses, on the culture in itself. I became more intrigued about it. Wanted to kind of go down there. I drove down many times to see where it was, see where Black Wall Street was. And then recently just been, I would say, just blessed and thankful for Stanley giving us and giving myself an opportunity to be able to tell the story the right way, give people a chance to know and understand how important it was. So
one thing I think that's important and that we'll at least touch on in the film was that Greenwood wasn't alone. I think one thing we say in Boss is there were over 100 Black towns in the West. That this was something that African Americans did to try to get some peace and dignity, and accumulate some kind of wealth and just be left alone. That they looked at, let's go west, let's go where there's land and we can form our own communities without racism. And so, Greenwood was probably the most successful, but there were a series of these Black towns that existed, all throughout the West.
Yeah.
I think that's so important that we continue to highlight that. One of the things that you bring together there, Stanley, is this history is not a standalone moment. This is not, a one-time thing that's happening here. These movements have been built, time and time again over the course of history. And I just think going back to what we were saying, learning about this right now and how all this is connected is so important. And so for you, Stanley, as you've done so many great films and really examinations of Black culture and history throughout the years, what type of advice would you give everyone right now around Juneteenth and around this movement that's happening in Black history and Black culture?
A great question. I mean, I think what's important is that people who are out there marching, there's so many young people. I have 3 kids, and this is like the first time really that they've, been involved in politics. We were up in Cape Cod when George Floyd died and was murdered, and we had just gotten here, and I have 21-year-old twins, and they said, we got to go back to New York. We got to go back to New York. We got to go back to New York, and we got to be part of the protest. So I think it's important that so many young people are becoming involved, but just know that it's not a quick struggle. The struggle takes time. And it's really important to understand that, in the civil rights movement of the 60s, right, when you see those dogs being sicked on people and the violence, they didn't know that they were going to win, right? They didn't know that they were it was gonna, change the world and that the civil rights law would pass and the Voting Rights Act would pass. They didn't know that, but they were out there fighting. And so it's a long, hard battle, power is never given up without struggle. And so, I think young people just have to know that they will change the world. One of my friends sent me, I told him my kids were out there, and he sent me a text, tell your kids thank you. And that's what I want to say to all the young people that's out there right now. Thank you. It's your movement. It's on you, but just stay with it. Stay with it. Stay with it. Change needs to happen. And you are the ones who need to make change.
I love that. I love that. Thank you so much for those words. And really kind of piggyback on that, Russell, you mentioned the platform you have, and we've seen that you've been very vocal and involved in protests and demonstrations back there at home. How do you hope this work that you're doing now inspires the next generations?
Man, I really hope, kind of to piggyback off what Stanley said, is that I feel like it's my duty, and Stanley's obviously a lot older than I am, but I feel like it's my duty, not just as an African American male, but being in this position, having this platform to now be able to show and let people know that it's okay to stand up for what you believe in. It's okay to be able to sacrifice. It's okay to be able to stand up and be strong and understand how important your word, your movement, the youth movement is, because I believe that with my platform, I'm able to kind of reach that demographic of people and kids around the world to let them know it's okay to be able to stand up. It's a struggle. Like Stanley said, it's going to be a struggle. It's not just going to snap of a finger going to change tomorrow. And I think just taking step by step, each step of the way, whether it's protests and whether it's finding ways to be able to bring light to things happening in African-American history, whether it's doing things in the educational system, whether it's doing things in the community, whatever it is finding ways to be able to keep bringing light to every aspect of our world, and find ways to be able to help the youth out any way we can.
Right. I mean, I think it's their time. If you're 20 years old, look, you may have 50, 60, 70 years, 80 years more to live in this world. So you've got to make the world the way you want it to be, or try to make it the way you want it to be. And I think what's so beautiful about movements is it doesn't matter what you do, right? You could be unemployed. You could be a college student. You could be, you could be anything.
Yeah.
You could get out there and with your body and protest and say, I want change, and my body is going to be here in support of that. And so that's really important. It's not a movement of rich people. It's not a movement of college students. It's not a movement of poor people. It's a movement of everybody. And that's what I think, is so fantastic, about what's going on. When you see it on TV, you're like, I know when it first started, we were like, oh my God, everybody's out there.
Stanley, it's crazy you said. I was having a conversation with my dad, and he was saying, because my dad and my wife and my brother, my family, we marched together in Compton about a week ago, and my dad, to be able to see it and to see me kind of marching and standing up for what I believe and standing up for justice, and to see not just myself, but the whole city, the whole world, to see unity. It's like, to me, that's like, it was like, gave me chills, because I never was a part of that. I'm always in my mind wanted to change every aspect of the world to make sure that, it was equal across all boards. But to be able to do that, to be able to walk, to be able to understand and see how powerful that can be was, to me, was amazing in itself.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's one of the great things about movements, like you don't have to be a leader, I mean, I was around in the 60s a little bit, for especially in New York, the anti-war movement and some civil rights stuff. But I didn't have to be a leader, all I had to know was there was a march, and all I had to do was show up. And I think that's what's important. You don't have to be a leader. If you want to be, then you can be. But the main thing is to show up, because what we're seeing now, we all know about police violence. We're all close to it. We've all seen it in our families. We've all been affected by it. Personally, we can all sit around and tell our own stories about when the cops did this and that, but it's now's the time for it to stop.
Yeah.
And that stopping is just the beginning, because this is not, if our only problem were the police, we'd be okay.
Yeah.
Okay, that's our problem. But that's not our only problem. And this is just the beginning. Our problem is racism in this country. And we've got to stand up and now and say no. And no.
Yeah. And Stanley, just to piggyback, I strongly believe that if we together and everybody's on the same page that we can make change. And like you said, if you're a part of a movement, regardless of unemployed, employed or not, you can make change. And the time is now more than ever. And unfortunately, we've been able to see things happen to different people across the world, whether they're getting murdered or being unjust or not getting the fair treatment. But I believe that us as a community, we got to find ways to be able to now make that change by doing whatever it is that needs to be done.
Mm-hmm. I think it's also, as we share these moments, right, of what's happening, everyone's paying attention now. I love the call out there, Stanley, in terms of, racism and stamping it for what it is. As we start to look at these, what thoughts do you guys have on how we continue the ball rolling? As you said, we have so many folks, specifically from the youth movement. I'm so inspired by them, to be completely honest. Everything that's happening here on the ground in Tulsa is truly inspiring, from the middle school all the way through the college students who are involved, as well as more and more of our Tulsans are getting involved. But I'm just curious, from your standpoint, how do we keep the ball rolling?
I think one of the things that's going to be really important is that different laws are passed and different, systemic changes and different laws are passed. And my own opinion is that it's not going to be easy, right? Because of the way this government is set up, it's not going to be easy to pass laws. So I think that when we have, a police reform bill that goes before Congress and it doesn't get passed, right, then we have to look at that killing of that bill as if they killed another Black person.
Absolutely.
And get back out on the street, and we can't they didn't pass the law. We gotta get back out on the street and hold people accountable. Yeah. And obviously, look, we've got to vote. And that's important. We're not in the next presidential election, there's not going to be a Barack Obama. Right. It's not set up that way. Yeah. But that doesn't mean it doesn't affect us. Yeah. Right. We've got to get out there and vote. Yeah. Right. It's so funny because so many times young African Americans are just like, oh, I don't vote. But we're the ones who are most affected.
Absolutely.
Right. We were voted into slavery. We were voted out of slavery. We were voted into Jim Crow, and we were voted out of Jim Crow. We've got these people in the government now who don't care about us. And so we've got to at least get people in there that have some kind of empathy and some kind of belief that we are all, one nation, that we're not trying to pit people against each other, which is what's happening now. So I think that, to me, that's really important. And for people who are politicized, and in this, one thing that they can do is, as the election comes up, is work to get the vote turned out.
Yeah,
get the vote turned out. I remember we went to Philly in 2008 when Obama was, in the first Obama election, on election day, to help turn out the vote. And the first people we talked to, we saw some brothers on the corner, right? They were just hanging out on the corner. And we said, are you guys going to vote? They said, don't worry about it. We voted already. And it was 8:00 in the morning. We said, we already voted. we got that. We got that. And so we've got to do the same thing. We've got to do the same. We control the election. You know what I mean? The Black people control the election.
Absolutely.
Let's vote.
Yeah, I agree, Stanley. I believe just having a conversation, voting is a huge aspect of kind of how we can change. And I feel like my duty is to be able to get people educated on why you should vote, understand what you're voting for, understand why you should vote. Just because my personal experience, like me growing up in the inner city of Los Angeles, there was no outlets, whether it's high school, to teach us how to vote, to be able to understand why you should vote, to be able to understand how it can change from years to come. And I think that's where I want to be able to make change in today's society of educating our people of how to vote, why you should vote, understanding what you're voting for, so we can now be unified and we can vote and make change in today's society.
Yeah, I want to say too, I mean, look, black folks out there, the powers that be don't want you to vote. Yeah. They don't want you to vote. I saw there was a speech, I hope somebody digs it out, that Trump made after the election where he said, to all his supporters, he said, I want to thank black people
for not voting.
They didn't turn out.
Yeah.
And that's how I got elected.
Yep.
Thank you, black people. Yep. Probably the only time he ever said anything like that in his life. He's not going to be thanking us after this election.
Nope.
No.
Yeah, and the power of that connectivity of our people, our culture in various places, whether that be from Los Angeles all the way across the country to, Durham, North Carolina, who also has a Black Wall Street history. But as we start to connect everyone and learn more and more, just as you all are saying, this is not something that is unique to one place. This is happening across the country over and over. As as we call them, the cultural mayors around here, like those cultural mayors needs to start talking to one another. How can we facilitate that conversation? And amongst the platforms that you both have and the stories that you have been able to tell, what are some of those pieces that you encourage, those cultural mayors, like what are those things you encourage them to start talking about right now?
Russell, you want to take this?
Yeah, I believe obviously, voting is a huge part of it. Kind of how Stanley mentioned, finding ways to be able to fix our police system. I believe that it's a huge problem and a huge problem in our system today because me growing up and me understanding when you see a police officer, the face I get when you get pulled over.
Right. We all got it.
Get it. It's just natural. And like nobody else can understand what that feeling is. Nobody understands that because it's just how we were raised. It's to see, police, no, we don't know what's going to happen. Be afraid for our lives. And now being able to see everything via social, via cameras, you're able to see now the things and how it's changing our community, how it's changing the outlook of how we look at the police. And I don't want my kids growing up to see the police as somebody that it's bad for them, to see them as somebody that's going to potentially have the potential to be able to kill them, to be able to murder them. And that's something that we need to change. I believe that racism is also a huge pillar that is going to be step by step to be able to change. And in our world, it's not going to be easy. Like Stanley said, there's going to be times where we may have a bill that don't get passed. So now what are we going to do as people? And I think that's where we need to make sure we sit together and be united and understand, like, listen, there will be times where everything's not going to go as smooth sailing because that's not how the world works. And that's not how this world is built. The government, every aspect of it. And I think, to me, those three things are huge. And today, and finding ways to be able to lift those three things up to be able to change our world is important.
Yeah, I mean, I think that, white people need to talk to each other, and I think that's another important thing. We need to encourage white folks to talk to each other. I mean, we're not the problem. We don't have any control of anything. The definition of racism is a group that has power, using that power against another group that doesn't have power. And so we don't have that power. And I saw a picture of a protest, and a guy was holding up a sign that said, "Talk to your racist aunt," and I love that. That's what white folks need to do. They need to talk to each other.
Yeah, they didn't get it from nowhere. It didn't come from nowhere.
Yeah, it doesn't, nobody's born a racist.
Right.
Nobody's born hating black people. And I think what happens, my understanding, I'm never there, but, as white people are eating their Thanksgiving dinner, you have old Uncle Bob, going off about black folks.
Yeah.
And the rest of the people around the table say, "Oh, okay, Bob, pass the butter." They need to say, no, that's not okay anymore.
Yeah.
That's not okay. And then, if that happens, then, the kids won't be taught that. And, the kid who's not born racist won't be taught that. And slowly things will change. And I think that's really, important. But we also have to have the will to change in this country. And I think that's important. And I think that's kind of what we don't have, with the federal government that we have now. They don't, so this government, you can change that. I remember I saw this speech that Malcolm X gave, and he said that this government can control. If this government wanted people not to hate Black people, they could do it.
Yeah.
He said, before World War I, we loved the Germans. And then during World War I, we hated the Germans. Then after World War I, we loved the Germans. Then during World War II, we hated the Germans. Then after that, then we love them again. And this all comes from the government. The government and this country has to have the will to change. Yep. And I think that's one of the great things that we're seeing out there with people out on the street, that it's, Black and white, Asian, Latino, everybody's out there, saying, okay, it's enough. Yeah. We're not, this is ridiculous. We're not going to survive this way. We don't want to be those people. And I think it's important that we somehow, get on that higher plane and say, well, who do we want to be? Who do we want to be? I mean, and I think that's one of the things that we have to think about. And white people have to talk to each other, and say, no, that's not, no. Okay. You can't say that anymore.
Yeah, totally agree. To me, it's very I stress myself, and I'm pretty sure, Stanley, you've been and learned a lot more and know a lot more. But sometimes I sit here and just figure out how much and where I want to involve myself. How much can I do to be able to change and make sure that it's heard around the world, and to be able to see all races, all ages of people marching and protesting and understanding that we've had enough. Understanding that African American community is always been hurting, but right now it's hurting at an all-time high, and it's something that to be able to see the rest of different races to be able to come together and protest and march for something for the greater good gives me some enlightenment that things will be moving in the right direction.
Yeah, I'm like you. I'm very positive. I see those kids out there. My kids made me drive them back to New York so they could be in the protest, and I didn't want to. I'll admit that. It's like, no, we just got here. But I'm so proud of them, and I'm so proud that they feel that this is something they had to do. So, young people out there, go ahead. It's your struggle now. Go ahead. But it's I'm really proud of y'all.
Brandon, Stanley's talking to us young people. Just so
that's both of us, huh?
She's talking to us.
I'll take that. I appreciate it, and I take the charge and appreciate the wisdom. I was just sitting here thinking about how we're talking about, you can get involved at any level. There's so many different things people can do. And I thought about my youngest, one of my younger cousins. She sent me a text and was like, hey, I'm thinking about posting this on Instagram. And it was essentially like a Black Lives Matter post. And it was moving. Like I almost teared up in that moment, knowing that next generations of even my family are jumping in at this rate. And so I wanted to pivot here a little bit to think more about the future. And as we have these conversations, this is a great project that you all are working on here that's not only telling a great story. I'm biased because I'm from Tulsa, but it's also
I'm a little biased. I grew up in Oklahoma, so I'm more your side, Brandon.
But as we were saying, this is part of the national story. This is our nation's history. Are there any other projects or things that you guys have in mind or that you're thinking about?
Russell?
Me personally, I am very focused, and obviously, again, Stanley, thank you for allowing myself and my team to be able to be involved with you, because it brings a greater light to the actual story. And honestly, Brandon, I'm just solely focused right now on this project as it pertains to what's going on in today's society. There's obviously other projects I'm working on, but this one to me is the most important. And like Stanley said, telling it the right way and making sure people understand how important it is, how it impacted, not just back then, but how it can impact our future, or how it can impact our now. And that's something that I've been focused, and I was just happy to be able to know that first Stanley was on board. You know, it was a call that I was super excited about to hear that call from my team. It was like, Stanley's on board. I was like, oh, okay, it's go time. It's time to turn it up, you know, and I was super excited about that. And now to be able to sit here and have a conversation with Stanley and be able to talk to him and understand his point of view and the things he's knowledgeable about is, for me, is exciting. And that's something that I'm working on now, just trying to stay focused on this one.
Yeah, I'm really excited about this project, really excited about working with Russell. I'm trying not to fan out. When this is over, I'm gonna go tell my wife, Russell Westbrook knows my name, you know. Call my son and tell him Russell Westbrook knows my name. Maybe I get a little tap for like an hour or so from my son, you know. So but you know, so I mean, obviously this is a really, really important project. I should say that you know, PBS just re-released a whole bunch of our films that are free. You can stream them at pbs.org. The Black Panthers, Vanguard of the Revolution, which I recommend everybody to see. It's a different view of who the Black Panthers were. Freedom Riders and Freedom Summer. Freedom Riders is just a film that I think is really important in so many ways. If you see it, you'll see it. It won 3 primetime Emmys, which is like, you know, was amazing. So I didn't see that, but we just finished a film for Netflix on crack, which will come out late summer, early fall, and we're trying to get it out there because one of the things that it does is it talks about how the drug epidemic, the crack epidemic, in the 80s, you know, led to the war on drugs, which led to more money for policing and where it led to the first wave of militarization of the police that we're seeing, you know, the ultimate of that now. You know, you see these guys look like, you know, the whatever they call those guys from Star Wars, you know, they got plastic, you know, armor and all that. So we're working on that. We're working on a massive 4-hour series on the Atlantic slave trade. You know, and the economics of the trade. It's not about slavery so much as about this trade that changed the world we live in. Working on a project on Frederick Douglass. Working on a project on Harriet Tubman. Working on a project on Attica that we're starting to shoot. Those are all, you know, I mean, those are all funded projects that we're working on now. You know, it's kind of a crazy day, you know, and right this moment, you know, there's really a lot of interest in Black content because, you know, TV and movies have played such a role in stereotyping African Americans and also marginalizing African American, you know, stories. So we're trying to ride that interest. But the other thing I should say is that we have what we call the documentary lab, and we work with first-time filmmakers, and that's 10 years old. And we work with just filmmakers of color all over the country. And we have like 80 graduates and who've graduated with 80 films that are, you know, have won every award in the industry. We won a couple of awards at Sundance last year for a film about lynching. And so, you know, we're just trying to, you know, they let me put my foot in the door, so I'm just trying to kick it open.
Knock it down, Stanley. Knock it down.
Yeah, and just let some other people through.
Knock it down.
Yeah, we can.
Well, Stan, that's dope. Me personally, I want to commend you and thank you because to be able to not just think about these shows, think about these different type of docs or stories you want to tell, but you're doing that because you know how important it is to our community, to our people, to people like myself, like Brandon, to younger generation. And personally, I just want to thank you for that because, you know, without people like yourselves and people that know how important it is for us to be able to see things, whether it's on different networks, on TV, it's definitely, it has impacted me to be able to inspire me to be able to do more things. So I definitely want to commend you and thank you for that. So.
Thanks. I mean, you know, one of the things we look at is these stories like Tulsa and other stories as a way in. You know, you might not want to pick up a book and read a book about Tulsa, or at least not at first. You know, that takes a big commitment. But to sit down for a few hours and watch a film is a different commitment. And we try to make these films as entertaining as we possibly can. You know, when I'm making them, I'm thinking about my kids. You know, like what you know, would my kids get bored? You know, what are they going to watch? You know, who've got a social media attention span, you know, so we try to make them as entertaining as we possibly can. And you know, what we look at it is, you know, these are just great stories, you know, that nobody knows, that haven't been told. Like Tulsa's a great story. I mean, it's a great story of Black people who go west, you know, and form their own community. And, you know, and there's film footage of them and the pride that they have, and Black people riding horses and herding cattle and stuff, you know, it's like incredible. And they form this community, and it's hugely successful. And then, you know, in one night of violence and wilding, you know, the white community turns on them and burns the whole thing down. You know, but then Black folks come back in Tulsa and reform, you know, and say, no, you know, this is our community, and they rebuild. And so, you know, that's a great story, you know, and so that's the story we want to tell.
Yep.
Awesome. I too commend you, Stanley. I'm so inspired by your work. My wife and I reconnect often about learning about each other's childhood and the way we grew up through the movies that we watched coming up, and it really is one of those ways of sharing history and telling story. So important is through that medium. And so one of the things as we get closer to our time here, I was going to ask how you spend your time here in quarantine, but it seems like Stanley's going to blow all of us out of the water. So I'm not even going to throw that one out. No. I actually got into baking. I was baking all this stuff, and I just had to stop. You know, like my family finally begged me, like, stop! You gotta stop. This is ridiculous. You know? So like I stopped. I'm like, no, I can't. I gotta do something else. I can't do it. You know. So they call it COVID 15. You know, so everybody's come out 15 pounds heavier. What about you, Russ? You pick anything up like baking?
What? No, nope, not baking. I've cooked a lot more than I've in years, but no baking. I've stopped cooking. My wife is tired of me in the kitchen. Just kind of, she don't like me using the pots and messing up the pots. There's certain pots you're not supposed to use. Certain, don't scratch the pots, and there's so much rules. And I say, okay, well, that's fine. This is why I don't cook. So other than that, I've just been working out and hanging with the kids. That's about it.
Well, thank you so much, gentlemen. I appreciate you guys making the time here and really sharing your words of wisdom, as well as championing all things culture, all things progressive to community. It means so much, not only to me, but everyone else across the nation.
I'm taking a photo of the screen so I can send to my son. I can say, you know who that is? If you guys wouldn't mind, is there anything you want to share? I want to give the space if you guys want to share anything that we didn't ask, or if there's anything about the docuseries that people could expect or you'd want them to know. No, I think we said it. You know, we're really happy to be doing it and excited to be doing it. Excited to be doing it with Russell, and you know, we just want to get it on. We want to make sure that we get it on for the 100th anniversary of Massacre in Greenwood.
Yeah, I agree. Same with myself. Just I'm just thankful for the opportunity in itself, and to piggyback off what Stanley said, I'm just ready to get it on and getting the information and making people aware, to be able to give them a film or something that they can look at and be proud of.
Well, thank you both for always using your superpowers for good. We appreciate it.
Thanks, Brandon.
Thanks so much. Thanks.
What's up, y'all? We are here with Vanita Cooper at the Tulsa Juneteenth Block Party, who is the owner of Silhouette Sneakers and Art. Vanita, can you please tell everyone what it means to you to be a business owner on Tulsa's historical Black Wall Street during Juneteenth 2020?
I feel honored, frankly, to be here. I think, the spotlight is on this community in a way that I never could have anticipated, as a result of, just the current political climate, the current health climate. And, I feel a tremendous responsibility to live up to the legacy of the businesses that came before me.
What made you want to open your own business?
I was originally pursuing a school leadership path. I wanted to be a principal of a school. I was an educator for 10 years, and I think, I was actually an educator not last school year, the school year before it. And I guess I just kind of hit a wall with it and really felt like, really my dream was to execute my vision for an organization. And I felt like I might not be able to do that in the public education system, especially here in Oklahoma, being as under-resourced as it is. And so, I've been passionate about sneakers. It's been a hobby of mine for a very long time. And so I just turned it into a business.
Very, very cool. Yeah. Where can people find your legacy of Black excellence? Where can they find you on social?
Yeah. So we're on Instagram, at Silhouette Tulsa. We're also on Facebook, Silhouette Tulsa, Silhouette Sneakers and Art. We post a lot on Instagram. So a lot of people ask me, where can we find, your kicks? Is it on your website or whatever? We post on Instagram first. And so, don't sleep. If you're looking for a certain pair of kicks, if you're looking for some apparel, our stuff tends to sell out really fast. So definitely follow us on Instagram, Silhouette Tulsa.
I hope that you guys check out her dope sneaker collection. Thank you so much. I'm Ariel Davis.
Hi, I'm Corinne Jean-Pierre, Senior Advisor for the Joe Biden 2020 campaign. Every year, Juneteenth is a moment for us to remember the day in 1865 when slaves were finally given their freedom. For Black Americans, it's Emancipation Day, as Americans of all races take to the streets to uproot systemic racism. The anniversary is all the more poignant. It takes on special meaning this year because as people protest, Juneteenth is a reminder of our hard-fought rights and freedoms as a nation. It's also a reminder of the original sin of slavery, how far we have come since then in the fight for equality and freedom, and how far we still have to go. To the people of Tulsa, as you commemorate the 99th anniversary of the 1921 race massacre, on behalf of the Biden campaign, I'd like you to know that we are standing in solidarity with you as you remember the lives that were lost in the most brutal of ways. We encourage all Americans to learn about the powerful legacy of the Greenwood District, often referred to as Black Wall Street, and all of its entrepreneurial glory. Its existence is a statement to the American dream as we all hold so dear, and to what Joe Biden and our campaign are working hard to make a reality for all Americans.
What's good, fam? We are still out here at the Tulsa Juneteenth Block Party, living it up, turning it up. Damien, what do we have for the people?
Coming up, we have an exclusive interview with the creator of the HBO hit Watchmen, Damon Lindelof.
Hey, this is Damon Lindelof answering these questions. And the first question is, for a lot of people, Watchmen was the first time they were learning about the Tulsa Race Massacre of Black Wall Street. When did you first learn of the story or see the 1980s comic book series? The first time that I heard about what happened in Tulsa in 1921 was in Ta-Nehisi Coates' article in The Atlantic, The Case for Reparations. I had read Mr. Coates' book, Between the World and Me, and I'm very candid about this. I read it so that I could virtue signal, so because all my cool progressive friends were reading it, but I read the book and it changed me forever. And I started to see the world differently and my place in the world and my complicity in the world differently. And so then I wanted to read everything that Mr. Coates read. And the first thing that I read was The Case for Reparations. And it's a staggering article in The Atlantic. And there was a paragraph in which he mentioned Black Wall Street and the Tulsa Race Massacre of 1921. And I'd never heard of it. And I couldn't believe that it had happened. I knew that it had happened, but I still couldn't believe it. And so I went on Amazon and I looked to see if there were any books written about it. And I ordered a book called The Burning by Tim Madigan, and I read it cover to cover. over the course of a day. And that was the beginning of my education on what happened in Tulsa. Between the renewed conversation around race and police brutality, the fact that everybody is currently wearing masks, and the yellow street murals that resemble the Watchmen font, Watchmen feels eerily prophetic. What does it feel like to watch so many of these themes and details emerge in our current moment? It's been incredibly strange to see not just people wearing masks because of the pandemic, but also law enforcement, and started getting texts and seeing on Instagram all the synergies with Watchmen, and certainly when Black Lives Matter was first painted outside Lafayette Square in D.C. And the Watchmen, it looked like the Watchmen font. That was very surreal. But I think that Cord Jefferson, one of our incredible writers, sort of put it best when he said that Watchmen wasn't trying to predict the future; it was trying to illuminate the past. And one of the things that compelled me to make Watchmen about what it was about was that the original Watchmen, which was written in the mid-1980s, the pervasive anxiety in America was the threat of nuclear devastation, a conflict between the United States and Russia. In the year 2019, which is when we wrote Watchmen, it was undeniably this issue of race, systemic white supremacy, and policing in America. And we didn't predict anything. That's been happening for the last 400 years. And all you have to do is read the newspaper or turn on the television to see that that is the prevailing American problem. And we knew that Watchmen wasn't going to solve it, but we did set out to illuminate it. So very surreal, but not predictive. We were just talking about history, and history repeats itself. People are protesting right now as a reaction to the deaths of George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, Ahmaud Arbery, and countless others. What parallels do you see between their stories of 2020 and that of the 1921 massacre? Well, I think the most important parallel I see between what's happening now and what happened in 1921 is there's still a targeting, disproportionate targeting. The statistics are there's no one who can contest the data. As to how people of color, particularly young black men, are treated in this country by the police. And so not too much has changed between now and 1921. I think the thing that has changed is that it's not as easy to hide it. And for us who worked on Watchmen, the greatest travesty beyond the horrors of and theft and murder and stealing of treasure and life and livelihood of what happened in Greenwood is that it was erased from American history, that it was covered up, that it wasn't taught, that even if you were raised in Tulsa, Oklahoma itself, this was just a story that wasn't told. Fortunately, thanks to social media and an incredible level of grassroots organizing from people like Patrisse Cullors, Sean King, DeRay McKesson, Brittany Packnett, to name just a few of the ones that I've been listening to over the course of the last couple of years, these stories get magnified and amplified. And so now there still is no fundamental accountability. And that's what really needs to change. In Tulsa in 1921, as everyone knows, not a single person was brought to justice, was even tried, let alone convicted of what was done. Here we are almost a century later, and it is almost impossible to hold a police officer accountable for a murder that we all saw with our own eyes, specifically in the case of George Floyd. So hopefully that will change. But there's reason for cynicism as much as there is reason for hope. So we have to keep doing the work. Watchmen talks a lot about legacy and the relationship between ourselves and our history, who we are, where we came from. Can you speak on the importance of history in America's relationship dealing with it? Watchmen, I think sort of the fundamental idea of it is that America is an open wound that can never heal unless we look at it and treat it, and that wound affects and causes the most pain for people of color, dating back to 1619. When enslaved Africans were first brought to our shores, and America was built on slavery, and the Civil War was fought over slavery, and we're just starting to see those statues topple today. So it's important to learn history, but it's also important to keep in mind who wrote history. And history is not empirical fact. You need to dig deeper, and you always need to ask who wrote this story, or whose point of view is this story from. And there are so many important stories that were erased. The Tulsa Massacre of 21, just one of them. So many others, disproportionately, again, affecting communities of color throughout the Grand American Experiment, going way back to the massacre of indigenous peoples when white Europeans first arrived on these shores. So question history, very important. Watchmen is an alternative history, but it trades in actual United States history. And I think that when people saw what happened in Tulsa, they knew that it was real. They intuited that it was real, even if it hadn't been taught to them. So we have to atone for our sins and hopefully ask for some level of forgiveness. And then beyond that, hopefully make reparations. And then maybe we can begin to heal. The next question, you've addressed rumors of a second season of Watchmen and made it clear you don't have plans for it. If another writer does create the next piece of the anthology, what would you be most interested in seeing tackled? Well, I've been asked about doing a second season of Watchmen, and I've politely refused. The fact of it is every single idea that I personally had went into this season of Watchmen, didn't hold anything back. And I think that this is a legacy show. That the first version of Watchmen was written in the mid-'80s by Alan Moore and Dave Gibbons, and for 30 years it stood alone, but it had a beginning, middle, and end. And so I wanted our version to have a beginning, middle, and end, but I think that I am really excited about the potential for another creator to come along with their vision for how they see Watchmen. And I would say that any of the things that we created are fair game, but hopefully they are bringing something new to the table. I think that Watchmen was much bigger than anyone gave it credit for, and it could tackle a number of issues that the original didn't deal with. So again, I don't have any ideas personally, but I would like to see it get a little more weird. I like weird sci-fi stuff. So I guess if anything, that would be my wish, but I'd be cool with it not being too weird either. So if you're out there and you have any good Watchmen ideas, go for it. Couldn't support you more. Next question. It feels incredibly important to see Black people in heroic roles where the race is neither ignored nor the focal point. Even if you're just a viewer in a second season, how would you want these elements to play out further? Well, what would I like to see in a second season in terms of how race is presented or how Blackness is presented? I think that with a few very rare exceptions, superhero storytelling in the entire 20th century has been carried out by people who look like me, white men. And I think that more importantly, it's not whether or not I could tell a story about non-white men, but I'd love to see stories told by women, the LGBTQA plus community, any person of color, indigenous peoples, the stories that they have to tell in my position as showrunners. That would be potentially exciting. So I think that I would be much more excited to see a season of Watchmen made by someone who didn't look like me, think like me, come from my background, than someone who looked like me, because people who look like me and come from my background have been telling superhero stories for 100 years now, and I'd love to see some fresh voices. Who are your models of Black excellence in the arts? So many incredible Black artists that have influenced me. Actors, Poitier, Denzel, Viola Davis, just to name a few. Musicians, Stevie Wonder, Aretha, Otis Redding, Lizzo, writers Colson Whitehead, more contemporary James Baldwin, game changer Langston Hughes, Lorraine Hansberry, directors, contemporary directors, Barry Jenkins, Ava DuVernay, Jordan Peele. I could go on. Those are just a few. And this Juneteenth, it's a moment of great reckoning and understanding in our country. And there's a light that's shining on Tulsa for obvious reasons. The President of the United States has decided to come there. And also, the 1921 massacre is finally, at long last, a part of the American conversation. And my hope is that, as Will Reeves says in Watchmen to his granddaughter, you can't heal under a mask. Wounds need air. And that Tulsa is now getting that air and that attention for healing. But it's going to take an exhumation, both literal and figurative, to finally put names to the victims of Tulsa so that they're not just victims, but we have a greater understanding of what happened there, but more importantly, who it happened to. And so my hope for Juneteenth is that we're able to say those names along with the names of those who have been lost to this great injustice in our country, and that the healing can begin. So God bless and stay safe.
I'm taking what you owe me. Diamonds on me, girl, I'm Dickie rolling. Shining on my pinky ring and swollen. Whistle Elsa, I can't let it go. Something came and got me in my zone. Something came and sparked the homie soul. I feel like I seen it all before. All my blacks eating across the board. See you want it, buy it, then you own it. Put your power with mine, let's make it grow. All we need is trust, get off that whole shit. Hope them solid jimmies, it's a coded. Mess around and I done found my purpose. Mess around and I done found my word. Spin with mine, I bet it make them nervous. Spin with mine if I'm gonna make a purchase. Circulate, circulate, yeah. Circulate, circulate, yeah. Money moving like 100 ways. Messed around and bought a bank, yeah. Time to spin it from the ground up. Time to mount up, regulate, yeah. Till we take it back to game, yeah. Circulate, circulate, circulate. My tag on my back like a vertebrae. Somewhere along the line, guess I'm will change. If you silver spoon, then you wasn't cool. We supposed to be rich in the first place. Talking 50K band for the worst case. All these hours I put in my workplace. Now promoter pay me for a 1K off the soul that I got from my workplace. This is paranormal, how I'm styling on you. This a factory to a pair of Jordans. This a masterpiece to an IG portrait. Who gon' vouch for me if I don't endorse it? Moving state to state like I'm teleporting. It was magic how we ball like Eric Gordon. Switch all that. Let's see how we gross and hit that Zach Taylor when I'm Mighty Morphin riding in the Mastodon. Mastodon, I feel like I'm Master Ron. Half the time, I feel like a mastermind. Other half tell me stay humble. Really, I be trying. Really, I'm just tired eating TV dinner, so I had to go and shift the paradigm. Really, I'm just trying to break the cycle down. Rich blacks all around. Hey, hey, rich blacks all around. Rich blacks all around. Rich blacks all around. One more time. I'm taking what you owe me. Diamonds on me, bitch, I'm Dickie rolling. Shining on my pinky ring and swollen. Wrist on Elsa, I can't let it go. Something came and got me in my zone. Something came and sparked the homie soul. I feel like I seen it all before. All my blacks eating across the board. See you want it, buy it, then you own it. Put your power with mine, let's make it grow. All we need is trust, get off that whole shit. Whole team solid jimmies, it's encoded. Messed around and I done found my purpose. Messed around and I done found my word. Spin with mine, I bet it make them nervous. Spin with mine if I'm gonna make a purchase. Circulate, circulate, huh? Circulate, circulate, huh? Money moving like 100 ways. I messed around and bought a bang, huh? Time to spin it from the ground up, time to mount up, regulate, huh? Till we take it back to game, huh? Circulate, circulate, circulate. My tag on my back like a vertebrae. Somewhere along the line, guess our world will change. If you silver spoon, then you wasn't cool. We supposed to be rich in the first place. Talking 50K bands for the worst case. All these hours I put in my workplace. Now promoter pay me for a 1K off the soul that I got from my birthplace. This is paranormal how I'm styling on you. This a factory to a pair of Jordans. This a masterpiece to an IG portrait. Who gon' vouch for me if I don't endorse it? Stay like I'm teleporting. It was magic how we ball like Aaron Gordon. Swish out net. Nasty how we gross it. Hit that Zach Taylor when I'm mighty more Friday than the Mastodon. Mastodon. I feel like a master rhyme half the time. I feel like a mastermind. Other half tell me stay humble. Really I be trying. Really I'm just tired eating TV dinner, so I had to go and shift the paradigm. Really I'm just had to break the cycle down. Rich blacks all around. Hey, hey, rich blacks all around. Rich blacks all around. Hey, rich blacks all around. Rich blacks all around. Rich blacks all around. Hey, thank y'all.
I need Dayton's on that, no rims on this, no slushies, my nigga, we off smoothies and shit, off that Rossi wine, nah, this ain't Chris, you got set up, bro, my little assist with the assist, it go down every day, right around the way, right up in Tulsa, you niggas can lay, but I just wanna dip in my spaceship, more cash to flip, pray to God I don't slip, I can stoop to your level, or take a higher ship, can't be messing with niggas who got nothing to lose, plus something to prove, plus they wasn't taught, your respect was bought, bro, we call it extortion. I'll be in Tulsa, right up in La Fortune. Worried about my portion, cause that's what's important. Niggas don't wanna see Cam eat. Pray to God my dreams in arm's reach, homie. All I wanna do is post up with my loved ones. Slide in this Tulsa sun, my investments. You better get you some, life ain't nothing but this cash you keep. Leaning on the whip, then I dip if you wanna come. Then I'm on the run. I said life ain't nothing but this. I need 1,000 a day, that's $360 a year. Pay this government they taxes, then I disappear. Right on Toms Beach, see the Elko I stir. Crack a beer on the pier, I did this for my peers. When I think about Jake, I can't hold back tears. It's a reason I'm here, it's a reason we stayed in Tulsa. You can see the fruits that we grew in Tulsa. Niggas move away and still be concerned with Tulsa. I wind on the one way, dodging potholes, ducked off, climbing trees with my vatos. Boys got guns in their videos, won't pop though. Claim that they this, give us stitches in their cameos. WCM, that's all we got. DIY, pray it never stop. More cash moves, you playing with your clock. I ain't worried about you. Saying all I wanna do is post up with my loved ones, crack a brew, sliding in this Tulsa sun, watching my investments. You better get you some, life ain't nothing but this cash. Leaning on the whip, then I dip if you wanna come. Make $1 million cash, then I flip, then I'm on the run. Niggas wanna post up on the beach, but it's only one. Life ain't nothing, it's cash and QT run. To this, G's up, why you boys just bounce to this?
$30 copy, inspired by that all money and philosophy, inspired by the fact that 20 ain't a proper fee, charged for the art like I know what it costed me. Dig into your pockets deep, I twist pen like lock and key, I lift again like top to peak. They listen in like what you got for me. I get the grin like watch and see. High grade, high quality, high velocity, high speed chase, adrenaline levels as I proceed to ride the beat like the getaway is Scott free. And I'ma live a day to talk my shit and they watch me put my name down. Came down confidently till they handed me compensation like it's complimentary. But this ain't for everybody, baby. It was meant for me. Virtuous with the patience, knew it would happen eventually. 6 years that felt like a century, felt like a cell held tight like gripping heat. Like I was in a jam, I was finna squeeze. Like I got little man, I can't be finicky. Who reap the benefit if I'm sacrificing my energy? Who gon' replenish me if I'm tapped in the tank empty? Time to tell who riding with me till it ain't a mystery. If you can't prove that shit, then you can't convince me. This ain't off the dome, it was written like Quincy. Written like my fist was tight, a different type of wizardry. Fly Superman without the kryptonite to cripple me. Salute your man like the general or general Prince. 3 of these songs I'll be doing are off of my album BSXO. Hey, appreciate y'all.
Hey everybody, thank you so much for joining us for this Tulsa Juneteenth Block Party. We are so excited to be here with local artist Alexander Tamon, who is one of the founding members of the Black Moon Collective, which is a collective of Black artists with multiple disciplinary art. And Alex is going to tell us a little bit about why this is important to him.
Can you tell us a little bit about why Black Wall Street and why this Juneteenth are so special this year?
Well, I think we are all experiencing a very traumatic climate right now. No one's really okay. You know, we're all either being directly or secondarily traumatized by all the things that are going on in the world between, you know, global health crises, the crises of racism and oppressive systems. And I think what makes this so special is this really embodies and typifies our resiliency. You know, in spite of so many circumstances, in spite of so many literal health risks to our mental and physical health, like people are out here taking up space authentically. And that is just a beautiful thing to champion and to partner with. And I live for this. Yeah.
What inspires you as a Black artist right now?
Oh man, so many different things inspire me as a Black artist right now. My experience, for sure. Current events, obviously, as well. It's just so important to be visible. Part of the impetus for forming Black Moon is representation. We know that that matters. And in so many historic spaces that are white, we have not been represented, right? And so as opposed to kind of pandering to those tables for a seat based on tokenism with relatively little to no actual authority to make a difference, we said we were going to build our own table. And in doing so, we've had such a meteoric and exceptional experience as so many are, you know, kind of clamoring to get on the right side of history and to include and invite, you know, us to represent. We are just kind of flying by the seat of our pants, but doing so, I believe, with excellence, you know, and with real prudence to make really intelligent and smart decisions about with whom we partner and how we lead, because I believe artists are really called upon to be leaders and to engage and to activate spaces and really galvanize communities with their art, and it's a privilege and an honor to do so.
Where are some places for people who are interested in getting involved with the Black Moon Collective? Where are some places online that you might be able to find your artwork or the collectives?
Yeah, we're definitely on all social media platforms, Black Moon Tulsa and blackmoontulsa.com. Come check out our website. It directly links to each of our individual websites as well as our social media platforms. And you can just kind of take a deep dive and troll each and every one of us. You'll love it.
Awesome. Thank you. Thanks for your time here.
Thank you.
Happy Juneteenth! It's me, your boy Mike Johnson. And you know what? I'm so happy for today. Today's a celebration. This whole weekend, on June 19th, 1865, up in Galveston, Texas, is when the slaves were officially freed. It's literally Independence Day for us. I'm from Texas. I've been here all my life, and so I could tell you a thing or two about it. But baby, it's 2020, June 20th. So let's talk about it. You know, if you and I were to go out right now, what would be like 5 date night ideas that, you know, something that we might be able to do? So let's just start it off right. Number one, you know, I live in the city, so one thing we might do is definitely get on the scooters downtown and just ride around the city, just have a great time. Let's just go to some local mom and pop stores, get a drink, you know, keep riding around town, just have some fun. Lots of smiles, lots of laughter, you know, just have a good time, baby. Number two, definitely what we gotta do is, I'm a huge horseback rider. I love riding horses. I hope you do too. Do you like riding horses, baby? Then after we get done with that, number three, date night, what we might do is, quite honestly, here in San Antonio, what we do, we got something called a Pearl. So like on a Sunday night or Sunday midday, what we might do is just go out there to the Pearl, just sit out in the grassy area and just have a great time, just converse and get to know each other. If you haven't noticed yet, baby, I'm trying to get to know you. Just you and I, what's up? Let's talk about it. Let's make it happen. Can we do that, please? Number four, out here, what maybe you and I could do, I really want to know what you want to do. Like, let's just do anything that you want to do for that day. If you want to go shopping, we go shopping. You want to throw the football, we throw the football. You want to go watch a movie, let's go watch a movie. You want to go to dinner, let's go to dinner. Whatever you want to do, baby. But then number 5, and this is going to be my favorite by far. If I'm feeling you and you feeling me, I might bring you over to my family's fish fry, because we have a fish fry every single year on Juneteenth. It's going to be amazing. We're going to have that old school music playing. So let me see what you got. Let me see if you know how to dance, not just TikTok dance. I want to see if you can feel that old school rhythm, baby. You know, can you get it? Can you make it happen? Have a great time out there where you meet all my family. Had an old school music playing. You be out there doing your thing, dancing or whatever. And if I like you, and if you're pretty good, you talk that talk. I want to see if you know how to play bones, aka dominoes. And then, if my mama like you, she gonna be like, Mike, bring her over here. Let's see if she can play spades. It's okay if you don't know how to play spades or bones. I got you. We're a teamwork. This is team, it's you and I. Y'all have a great one. Happy Juneteenth. I love y'all.
Hi, everyone. I'm Deval Patrick. I'm coming to you from Massachusetts, where I served as governor for 2 terms from 2007 to 2015. And I'm coming to you as an African-American citizen of this United States who is hurting, who is angry, but who is also hopeful. On this Juneteenth, I wish you a happy Juneteenth, and I am mindful of the story of Juneteenth, as I'm sure all of you are. The fact that Black people enslaved in Texas waited 2.5 years longer than they had to learn that they had been freed by the Emancipation Proclamation is itself a kind of a metaphor for the waiting that we as Black Americans have been doing for generations. Today, out on the streets in Tulsa, in other cities and towns all over America, indeed in cities and towns all around the world, people are acknowledging what we have always known to be true, which is that Black lives matter, that Black lives contribute, that Black lives love, that Black lives care, that Black lives sacrifice, that Black lives are patriots too, and that every single one of us has a claim on the best of what this nation has committed itself to: life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. I think with the marchers, Black and white, out on the streets of our cities and towns today, and the unrest in so many of our hearts are feeling today, is that prosperity and justice has been slipping from us for too long. And all these marvelous young people have put their collective foot down on behalf of all of us and said no more. So on this Juneteenth, even as just around the corner, the most divisive leader we have had in a very, very long time rallies his supporters for another photo op, I want you not to be discouraged by that. And above all, I want you not to be distracted by that. We have work to do. And it is about calling on the conscience of this country. It's also about acting. And so make a plan to vote. Make sure your family has a plan to vote. Consider what all the barriers that have been put up in front of you, wherever it is you live, and overwhelm those barriers by being ready and being early. And then hold accountable the policymakers we send, whether we are sending them to Washington or to local state houses. We want action. We don't just want these issues to be issues in time for election and to drive turnout. We want results. And if we don't get those results, we should be prepared to go back to the polls and make another change. The history of our people in this country, yes, is of oppression and pain and anguish, but it's also of resilience, of determination and stamina, emotional, physical, and intellectual staying power. And when you think of all we have built, all we have contributed, all of the ideas and physical structures and new products and scientific breakthroughs and artistic achievements, all the ways that we have made America richer and more interesting and more promising and more innovative, we should never once lose sight of the fact that we deserve our claim on American ideals. And we should go reach for it, just as our ancestors have in their own way and in their own time. So yes, I am sad and angry, but also hopeful, because in a democracy, we get the government we deserve, or we should. We get the leadership we deserve, or we should, when we take responsibility, just as those marchers out on the streets today have taken responsibility for demanding more. God bless you all. Happy Juneteenth. Hi, everyone. I'm Deval Patrick. I'm coming to you from Massachusetts, where I served as governor for 2 terms from
Y'all, we are out here at Tulsa's Greenwood District. Damien, what do we have for the people?
So coming up, we have the insane musical talent, Fire from the Gods, Daniela Cotton, and the War and Treaty.
You talk about it like it ain't nothing. You wouldn't for a minute want a life walking in my shoes. Your color opens doors, mine's fighting a different war. Don't you believe we all deserve the same view? Oh no, we are one. 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 And the world is still so beautiful. Together we'll stand and not lose hope. 'Cause we are one. We are one. We are one. Demons, and with all of this energy and everything inside of me, I will fight till I can't fight no more. Levitate above the hate, I gravitate towards my fate. I've conquered my demons. Oh yeah, I've conquered my demons.
You know, it's 2020 and we're still having the conversation and still in fear of our lives that as a black man in America, am I gonna make it home? And what happened with George, you know, it creates a dynamic now. It creates a situation where you have people from all races, like in all walks of life in America, that don't want to trust law enforcement. And this is the outcome. This is what happens. And you see the rioting, you see the looting, and you see that's what they put on television, and they'll say that's what's happening, that's what they're doing. But, you know, they're not talking about why. It's always the what has happened. It's always the what happened after, but it's never the why. Why was that man's life disrespected like that? Who kneels on the guy's neck for 9 minutes and has the guy unconscious for 6 of those minutes and says, well, we can arrest him now? What's the motivation behind that? My purpose is not to fight the police. It's not, my war isn't with the police. It's with the system that enables that behavior. Let me live. We want to live. You know what I'm saying? That's not something, I don't want to have to teach my kid about that. My mom had to teach me about that. My dad had to talk to me about that, about the way I'm supposed to deal with police, the way I'm supposed to walk the street right. Every black mother has that conversation with their child. And I know in a lot of white homes, they don't know what that talk is. And people talk about the talk, you know? And it's funny when you grow up, you watch on television, the talk is supposed to be you're telling your child about, you know, the birds and the bees, and it's supposed to be, you know, innocent and humorous. But in our homes, we have this talk where it's about, this is what you do. Say yes, sir. My mom always used to say to me, when the police approach you, you take your hands out your pocket, make sure they can see where your hands are, and say yes, sir, no, sir. And that sometimes you never know, man. And as I'm older now and I think about it, it's like that probably feeds into this man's overinflated ego. That feeds into his need for dominance over me. And if that's not what he's about, if he's not about dominance over me, I don't know that, because all I know is that I might not make it home. And what happened to George was wrong. What happens to countless others are wrong. Everyone's just had an absolutely enough of it. And it's going to take a concerted, coordinated effort from everyone, white, black, Christian, Jew, Muslim, every walk of life within the continental boundaries of this United States, to come together and make an effort to say that we've had enough, and to speak out about it, and to stand up about it, and to not give up the fight when the news headlines get swept under the rug for something bigger to happen in the news. We have to continue to press the issue, because if one is not free, none of us are free.
So do you have any advice for new dads, or a lesson that you feel like you're already learning or thinking about? Since it's Father's Day weekend too.
Yes.
So happy Father's Day, early Father's Day.
Thank you. A lesson for Father's Day. I want.
Or a tip. No pressure. It can be just.
I think first and foremost, to any father out there, any Black father, I want you to know that that you are appreciated. I want you to know that the world needs us. I want you to understand that that we're the backbone for the family. Like, we are the strength of the family. We are the protectors. We are the providers. And a lot of times those jobs, that job doesn't get the notoriety or the love that you think it would get, but understand it is just as necessary. You are very worth everything that you're doing. So keep working. But a tip that I would give any brand new father, especially if you are with your woman, understand the plight of your girl. Like, understand that as the woman, that the child is going to, she's going to be nursing. There's going to be a lot that she's going through as a mother, and that being the man in that position, you have to not only be a father to that child, but you have to be a man for your woman. You have to realize how to do both. You have to sometimes cater to her as you're catering to the baby. Sometimes the baby needs a bath, and then you can run mommy a bath as well. You have to make sure that you're managing everybody, because it can get very stressful. It can get extremely stressful. So you, to make it less stressful on you as the man, you have to understand that, your lady needs time. Your lady needs to be pampered like the woman she is at times. So keep that in mind.
Oh, I love that. That is a tip. Make sure that you watch this part. I'm gonna make sure that Jake looks at this part over and over. No, but that's so true. I mean, even from as a new mom, I'm like, you're right. And I love what you said about how much fathers are important, because that's something I think a lot about when, yes, moms get accolades all the time. Moms are incredible, and I know that you know that, and you give your, I often think what about the dads? Because I think about how much I've been able to even feel like I'm doing okay during this pandemic, being a new mom. It's like, if I didn't have, my husband and the father, it would be pretty much impossible. So I totally agree. Like, fathers are so, I do credit. So I hope that, I know they are, but they are really emphasizing that. So
absolutely. What about you? For new moms, what would your first tip be?
My first tip, I think, would just sort of know how to roll with the punches. I said, because there was a, like you're trying to learn the baby, and then something new happens, or you feel like you've figured out the schedule, like, oh, when I feed my baby goes to sleep, and then it doesn't exist.
Yeah.
So I think learning how to like roll with that is something that can help, and just kind of look at it as like, it's fun every day. It's challenging, but every day it's a new baby, right? And to not be hard on yourself, as I think I see a lot of like images, super moms and stuff. I call Christina all the time with like, tell me about this. What do you know? Because it's like, this is a human. This is a person. Like, there's nothing that you can do perfect. There's nothing perfect about it. So I definitely would also encourage moms to not be hard on yourselves. Like, some days you'll get it, some days you won't. Yeah. But your baby will be fine.
That's a very, very big point. I think people, period, need to start just being more gentle with themselves. We're all very, I know even myself, very, very hard on myself when it comes to honestly, when it comes to anything. I think that's because I demand excellence from myself all the time. So those moments that I don't reach that level, it's like I can get hard on myself, but I have to pull back and be like, all right, Mac, like, remember, bro, you're human, bro. You're human. So I appreciate that. That's real.
Well, that's a reminder for myself too.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so I don't want to hold up your whole Juneteenth.
I know we gotta
enjoy it.
I gotta go check on these burgers. So it's always good talking to you. I'll definitely hit you when I get back to Brooklyn. And thank you everybody for watching.
Yes, thanks.
155 years since that first stop in Galveston, and we're still on that long road to equity. We're still fighting for that full share of respect, opportunity, and freedom in the fullest sense. Juneteenth reminds us of America's capacity to change, but it will not change without us. We are resilient. We are strong, and we will never stop building, marching, speaking, voting, organizing, protesting, and fighting until the promise of our nation is fulfilled.
Hey everybody, what's going on? It's Nehemiah from the Black Wall Street Times. Behind me is the historic Vernon AME Church. Here's one of my friends, Nate Morris, who's extremely busy. He's practicing social distancing. I have my mask too, but I didn't want the video to look extremely crazy. But yeah, so we are in original Black Wall Street. Juneteenth is important to me because I am free, and 400 years are up today, officially, because on this day, the last enslaved person that was living in Texas was released, and they walked away into their joyful happiness. So anyways, I'm gonna go ahead and say bye from the historic Vernon AME Church and Black Wall Street.
I'm Damian Shade, and we're here on historic Black Wall Street with Steph Simon.
Yo.
Steph, what is it that's so unique about Black Wall Street and this Juneteenth in particular?
Really, man, it's really just show what we can do when we pull our resources together. And this was a last minute event, you know what I'm saying? So imagine what we can do when we really come together like we supposed to and do it in the name of Black Wall Street. We did this in like 5 days, you know what I'm saying? So, and it's beautiful out here. So that's, this one is significant, man, because it's with the corona going on, COVID-19, with the rallies and everything going on, we really came together and put something together for us. and to commemorate our side of town. So it's beautiful.
So for people who are interested in following the hip-hop scene in Tulsa, your music, and all of this culture, how can they get in touch with the culture here in Oklahoma online?
It's so many places, but for one, if I'm going to say one, I would say World Culture Music, which is on Instagram, World Culture Music. That's I don't really want to spell it out right now, but World Culture Music on Instagram, and WCMTulsa.com, you know what I'm saying, is where you can get a hold of the culture. So yeah.
Awesome. Thank you very much.
Hey, what's going on, y'all? It's Jay Ellis, and I wanted to wish my hometown a beautiful, amazing, happy, celebration-filled, joy-filled Juneteenth. We all know there's a lot going on in the country right now, and Juneteenth is obviously, we know the historical significance of it, but we know that this is a time for us to look around this country, come together, celebrate, love each other, celebrate our ancestors and those who have fought for us while we continue to hit the streets and march for change and demand change. So I want to wish you guys a beautiful, 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 amazing, blessed Juneteenth right here at the virtual block party. Sorry we can't be in person, but this is a good way to do it. So we're going to have fun, y'all. Stay tuned. And while we're doing it virtually, the first thing that I'm gonna do is I'm gonna give you my top 5 songs for the culture, y'all. That's right. These top 5 songs, at least my top 5 songs, are at every single Juneteenth. They at the cookout, they at the barbecue, they at weddings. Y'all already know. Here we go. All right, first up, I know y'all know this one. This is one of my favorites. Before I Let Go, Frankie Beverly and Maze. Everybody knows this. Y'all better not let go. Here we go. Right now, Frankie Beverly and Maze, Before I Let Go. Number 2 is none other than our Fresh Prince himself. This is DJ Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince, y'all. It's summertime. What a beautiful time. Number 3, I'm gonna hit y'all with another cookout classic. It's Party by Beyonce, because we like to party. Hey, I can't sing, but y'all know what I'm talking about. Beyonce, Party. Number 4, this right here is a classic. I don't care where you at, and y'all know what I'm talking about because we all do it, every single one of us. Bad hips, bad knees, arthritis, young, old, it don't matter. It's the Cupid Shuffle, y'all. To the left, to the left, to the left. All right, last up, y'all know what it is, the Hometown Heroes. This is Outstanding by the Gap Band. Let's get it. Happy Juneteenth. See y'all next time.
Thank you so much for joining us for this live cast of Tulsa's Juneteenth Block Party. We hope you enjoyed all of the performances that you saw today and learning more about Tulsa's historic Greenwood districts.
And we hope you enjoyed learning about Juneteenth, this amazing holiday. And we hope that this has shown you why this should be a nationally recognized holiday that is celebrated across the U.S.
Damien, is there anything you would like to leave our viewers with?
I would just like to lift up the wonderful spirit of Black excellence and Black culture that's on display right here in Tulsa, Oklahoma right now. Millions of Americans are waking up to the need for police reform in the United States and criminal justice reform and investments in Black entrepreneurs and the great excellence that we see on display here in Greenwood, Oklahoma. I hope that the legacy of Black Wall Street is something that we can carry across the nation and throughout the world. Ariel?
I am just really excited that we are showing that the Black experience is not monolithic. Although we have a history of pain and trauma, we also have a history of innovation and creativity and excellence. And I'm really just excited to be able to share that with everybody today. I'm Ariel Davis.
And I'm Damian Shade. We hope you have a great Juneteenth weekend.